Welcome back to the expert desk, and they just did probably an infinity time more push-ups than I could actually do. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know. I'd like to think I could give him run for money, but probably couldn't.
I haven't tried in a long time.
I think you could beat us all. Anyways, we do have Curse versus Gambit Gaming, both of them going 0-1 so far in the group stage. What do you think is going to happen here? Because this is a big game for both teams.
It is, but I think Gambit will take it pretty clearly.
Yeah, both teams have to get their first win on the board, get that placement in the group stages. Gambit, Curse, they were both having fun with each other, still are in fact in the lobby, having a good laugh between each other. But Gambit, they've got more results under their belt, they are arguably the more fearsome team. But again, so far this tournament, it's been nothing but upsets and backwards things, not what we've been predicting. IEM really showing us that anything can happen, and I'm not going to write anyone off, but it's arguably Gambit the favourites.
Not going to write anyone off, but it's going to be Gambit. So we already picked some bands. And what do you guys kind of think we're going to see here? Because we have seen both teams play already once. We've seen what they both played. We've seen what they like. But what are they going to ban out?
It's really always so tough to tell unless you see the first picks. And both teams picked Misfortune and Kale last round. So.
Well, Michi Makers picked Kale last round. Curse did not, unfortunately. They picked a Mumu.
True, my bad.
But no, but we did see actually Alex on Kale in the first game.
Right, so we see already a Kale ban from Curse.
Yeah, we see that Lee Sin, Kale, and Evelyn banned out from Curse. If we get the camera on the picks and bans. And for Gambit Gaming, they have Elise, Cho'Gath, and Kha'Zix. I mean, they kind of let Kha'Zix slip by the first time, but after that, they're like, no more. We're not going to let that happen again.
Yeah, at least in China.
So there's still a lot of room for the Amu comp, and some other very strong picks are still open. We know that Alex likes to play Katarina, which is also free.
Yeah. I think guys might be hoping they can get that Katarina and Voidboy again.
Yeah.
As they do hover over it, and in fact, Sabish's first picks it, so there is that option. Evelyn's been banned out by Curse. That was their last ban, taking that away from Moscow 5. Oh, sorry. I've done it. There we go. I was paying more attention to the picks.
I have yet to do it today. I'm so happy and proud of myself right now.
Taking away from Gambit. But in the same time, Gambit first picking away Olaf, taking off the same fishes.
He squeaked by.
That makes sense. As we said, like Curse loves to play Olaf, so it's definitely a highly valued pick for Gambit right here.
We saw when Gambit played against Zubu Blaze, they let Olaf go through to Blaze, and he just demolished top lane, demolished Damien on Renekton. So this time they're going to give it a go here. They do lock in that Misfortune, so we're going to see some of that action in the bottom lane. But are we going to see the Curse of the Sad Mummy, or the Curse of the Sad Mullet time here? I mean, we still have Curse 2 picks right here. They could take that Amumu away if they wanted to. They could even take Sona away, which we saw Edward actually play in game number 1. What's going to go through their minds?
If Curse goes for this, they might end up just right as it is right now. Exactly. Like the enemy already has Misfortune, so they could easily go for some zoning stuff, like Karthus or Wukong or some other things. You have a lot of stuff actually in the game which sits at a certain place and deals damage inside of Amumu. So yeah, so they try to avoid it right here.
Yeah, they're actually taking that Nunu away from that Nunu Misfortune combo right there. We do see a Nocturne locked in, which I am a huge fan of Nocturne, most played in Season 2. Panky, what do you think? I mean, he's a really good champion. He's really good for diving, but we don't see a Shen just yet. And we don't see really like a Diana. Katarina, yeah, can dive, but you know, what are they trying to go for here?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, last game they had Lulu as their support.
Right.
Nocturne Lulu, lovely combo. He's going to ultimate straight to the back, onto the AD carry. Wild Growth comes out from Lulu, knocks everyone up, slows down the AD carry, you can stick to that target. Nunu, arguably not quite going to do the same thing. He is very useful in this if he can get in and amongst that Gambit lineup, start channeling that ultimate, start that massive AoE slope. Nocturne's going to be able to stick to a target. Katarina's going to be able to shimpo from target to target quickly so they cannot disperse as much as they'd like. But that all being said, Nocturne has fallen out of favour for a while at the moment. He's just not up there with the top of the junglers, he's not there with the strongest. But we have seen him played in the mid lane actually quite a bit over in Korea. So there is that option still on the table for Curse.
Well, we did see Michi Makers ban out Zed in last game against Curse. They actually did it in Intel Extreme Masters Cologne against CJ Intus just because they didn't know exactly what he did. They didn't want to bother going with him, but we do see that Zed locked in for Gambit Gaming, and they go with the Lulu. So we're going to see Misfortune Lulu, which Curse, like you just said earlier, played, and they go with a Nunu Caitlyn.
Nunu Caitlyn is one of the best comps for Caitlyn because she reaches her mid and late game faster. She's a very, very slow AD carry and getting itemized and putting damage out, so Nunu helps a lot there. And it kind of indicates a lane swap again because Caitlyn is just so strong at it.
I like the Lulu pick here on Gambit. You're going to have Olaf, of course, he's going to pop his ultimate. He's going to run straight through the curse lineup to try and get on that Eddie carry. He's going to try and get onto Caitlyn. Caitlyn's going to have the going to have the movement speed buff, from his support from Nunu, so he's going to be able to try and run away from that. But because of the ult from Nunu, the slow's not going to affect him. He's going to be able to get nice and close. Lulu can then just pop a wild growth on Olaf instead, like she would have previously on the Nocturne example, knocking up the AD carry, slowing it, keeping it stuck there, and at the same time, you're going to have Zed trying to leap to the back of the fight, trying to unload his burst on Caitlyn, and as a result, Curse are going to have to try and focus him down quickly when he gets in there. As a result, they're going to be on top of him. If Lulu ults Zed, it's going to have the same effect.
Well, I know Diamondprox and Darren have both been playing Zed quite a bit lately. I'm assuming that actually will be going to the jungle. You might be able to correct me if I'm wrong there, but goes to Pepper or Edward now. Just hover over Victor like he does best, trolling as much as possible as he cycles through every other champion possible except the one they're actually going to go for. But Zinzao being silent. We do see Ryze actually picked up for Curse because we know, like you're saying before, Alex Ditch, really good Ryze in the mid lane, and he's becoming, or sorry, Ryze actually becoming a lot stronger in Season 3. So they actually will go with the Wukong, so a very AD heavy team. What do you kind of do? What do you do to kind of counter this? Obviously you build armor, but how do you kind of slow them down?
It's really tough. As I said, it's one of the most dominant things right now, putting an AD on mid lane like a bruiser. And it's very tough to counter. There's not really much you can do. Like even stacking armor doesn't necessarily help. And
especially against that Misfortune, she's going to arguably probably first build a Black Cleaver. Her ult's going to go across everyone. They're not going to be able to get to her to stop her because Wukong's going to be channeling his ultimate, doing AoE damage. She's going to be reducing everyone's armor. So rushing that need is it's going to mean you're going to have to get a lot more of it before it becomes quite as effective as it could be.
And Ryze actually can pretty decent on mid lane, but it delays his itemization very hard if he tries to have an equal laning phase. He has to build a lot of defensive stuff early on, instead of going tier, for example, to survive Wukong burst. So I don't know, I prefer Gambit's lineup here.
Darian and Alex did last second switch from Wukong to Olaf. So Alex is going to play that Olaf probably in the mid lane. He could still switch up and go somewhere else if he so wishes, but
it would be very surprising, actually.
Yeah, it would be.
I don't think I've actually seen Alex play Olaf in the mid lane ever.
Me neither.
I mean, we saw Wukong last game. Sorry, played by Meechmakers. Amazing job. We're going to see him again in this game. Who do you guys have to take this game, though?
I think if Alex can pull this off, he will be really important because it's something not seen very often. And it kind of shows very clearly that he wants blue buff level 1. And if he gets it, I think he can do very, very well this game.
And Panky, real quick, who do you have your money on?
I'm thinking the same thing. Gambit have arguably and always have been one of the strongest team fighting teams around. They just all know their place, all know exactly what it is they need to do and when they need to do it. And with that team comp, they can do it very, very well.
Yep, we're going to throw it over to, let's see, we got Demon and Jack casting for you, so take it away.
Yes, welcome ladies and gentlemen. We are live here. If you've just joined us, it is going to be Curse versus Gambit Gaming. Gambit Gaming, of course, are ex-Moscow 5. They have had a change, and of course, in this blue team is going to be Curse. They're going to go head-to-head with the red team of Gambit Gaming. Interesting picks, chat. I was not expecting some of these changes. Alex, especially on Olaf.
The swap at the last minute caught everyone by surprise, and I'd expect mostly Curse because last game Curse saw the Wukong mid when MYN played against him, and there's a lot of level 1 action. Flashes burn.
Straight away, you can see Darian going heavy in there. It was actually Diamondprox that got cut out to start with. It's going to be Voivod. Everybody taking a lot of damage, but no one really specific. And everyone will back away from Curse here very delicately. And Moscow 5, they couldn't take advantage of this. They're going to get in the wards in there, around towards the red slip there. So are we expecting to see any lane shuffling here? Because it's a weird setup for both teams.
Honestly, we might see 2 people mid from Gambit Gaming or ex-Moscow 5 because Olaf and Olaf and Wukong are both capable top laners, in all honesty. So they can go mid. Sorry, I got a little distracted.
No, that's okay, yeah. I mean, as it is, you can see Edward and Genja looking like they're probably going to go top here because Diamondprox is here in the middle. He is going to be clearing out that wave. And let's talk about Zed Jungle because Zed Jungle has been something we saw Insect playing heavily at IEM Cologne. And it's just been very strong champion. We've seen it pretty much. It's been played across the board. He can be very bursty, but I mean, how do you stand with Zed?
I mean, and then Insec also played it in recently Season 3. It's one of those guys who, if you play him top lane, you can afford to get tanky on him. But if you play him in the jungle, you only have so much gold flow that he's going to have to rush and essentially try to be an assassin on Caitlyn. That's his main play right there.
You're not seeing it on your screen right now because we're checking camera from yours for some reason, but that will be sorted out in a moment. As it is, though, we did just see Alex Ich picking up the blue buff, and he is going to go down the bottom 1v2.
That is a pretty good play. That's something we actually saw Voyboy do back when he was on CLG, is he would be Olaf, get the blue buff, and then just spam X in lanes. He would destroy people with that strategy.
So you can see Wukong is going to be top. So let's go through the lanes one by one. Darian versus Voyboy. It is going to be Wukong versus Caitlyn.
It's going to be tricky there for mainly Voyboy. The last time he was, last game he got completely decimated by MYM's tower diving. I don't think that's going to happen quite this time, but it's teams that are finally willing to 1v1 against him. Let's see how it goes.
So the mid lane, of course, it is going to be Rux. Rux standing in. Nijaki couldn't come here. Didn't get a visa for Poland, but obviously he is a Chinese national, I believe, isn't he? This is straightforward. But Genja and Edward, and it's going to be formerly Go Superb. It's going to be Lulu Misfortune versus Rise. I mean, surely Rise is just completely outdistanced here.
This is something that's going to be a huge issue. For the most part, Rise has a huge issue just shoving 1v1, but considering it's now the 2v1 shove lane against him, Rux is basically screwed in this lane unless something happens for him.
So Rux is definitely forced well away. Let's have a look towards the bottom. Of course, Alex did pick up that blue buff. Olaf is a very strong 2v1 laner, but he's against a Nunu Caitlyn.
And with the blue buff, it hasn't really done all that much for him early. 15 minion kills. It is more than Rux has in the mid lane, but he's still lost about a third of that turret. He's not able to really aggress or do anything crazy as he's walking right into Saint.
Straight into Saint Vicious. The fear is going to go off, but it's walked him towards the turret. That may well have saved his life. Yes, it has. They're not going to dive him, and it does mean he gets away.
The turret walk was friendly for him, and a really good job here by Diamond coming down to prevent against a possible tower dive, and another good job by Elements warding that brush to make sure they didn't dive into two members.
Straight away, managing to get vision of that one and immediately reacting to it. Let's have a look towards the mid, and let's go through the CS in terms of all the lanes. You can see the two, actually they're out of position. I'll level them up. Apologies for that, but I mean, Zed in the jungle versus a Nocturne, very much even between the two. But Voyboy, we've seen him performing brilliantly on Katarina at the weekend in the North American regional qualifiers. How is he going to level up? I mean, Wukong should be banning. Oh, let's go down into the middle, and I missed the damn first blood. I knew it!
The first blood for Rux. Basically what happened is he walked a little bit too far out. He got caught by Glitterlance on Lulu and just got dropped down. They didn't even have to burn Flash or Ghost on Genja, so that is even more trouble for mid lane. I mean, we knew he was screwed from the start. It's just they never sent help for him.
Well, as it is, I mean, Wukong technically in his top lane against Voyboy. He's a level behind at the moment on Voyboy. Let's have a look between the two experiences. You can see it's pretty much a full level distance between the two at the moment. How much will that play into really how they're going to play? I mean, you'd expect Darren to just sit on the turret.
It's surprising. I mean, Wukong is such a strong champion if he can escape laning phase, which is why last game MYM actually played a mid, because he was able to escape there. Voyboy putting a lot of pressure on him early here. I wonder if he's going to be able to counteract that, because Voyboy's Warmog's Katarina is going to catch on fast, and I think that's what he's going to be going for this game.
Yeah, we see Gambit backing off in that mid lane. Of course, we did catch a glimpse of Elements and Saint Vicious both having a look towards him. Alex is getting a bit of poke. He's actually pretty low down the bottom now. The last crit shot didn't come from Cop, though. It didn't bother putting it on him, and he is going to have to back off to the turrets. Let's look through the builds, Jet, and how things are starting to balance out. We do see the first Giant's Belt, of course, from Voyboy.
You know, 1 Giant's Belt to 0, Curse is in the lead, right? That's how people are keeping score lately. Not 100% sold on that. I think the builds are really still developing here. The Giant's Belt is the only thing that stands out, but mainly we got to check bottom, because the turret going down is the first big move of the game.
Yeah, and we obviously predicted that we'd see Alex backing away, so that blue buff not really helping him out in a great deal at the start. Gambit Gaming, of course, they were on the back end of a real hiding from Azubu Blaze, and as were Curse. Meteor Makers really putting up a fantastic performance here in front of the home crowd. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys develop, because they're both under pressure here. Moscow 5, they've just never really got their flow going since, I guess, really since their trip to Shanghai, maybe.
It's been tricky for them. I mean, IPL 5 was a really stacked tournament. I think they finished 4th in there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong with that, but it's definitely not the Moscow 5 that everyone remembers from mid-season 2, where they were just dominating everyone. I don't know if any team's going to ever reach the level that Moscow 5 used to be on, but Gambit Gaming really has to make sure they win this one if they want to stay in it, because thinking that they would get knocked out in the group stage would never even been thought of before, even this tournament.
So we have the lane switches coming back around. The duo lanes both in the mid now. Element's putting a pink ward down in that bush, making sure he doesn't get anything spotted out. And of course the combos. How do you balance these two combos out? Of course we know about the Misfortune crazy bullet time, but Nunu, Caitlyn, it's such a shove lane.
And right now, the big advantage is to Curse, because Genja and Edward went mid to try to get the turret. Whenever you do 2v1 lane swaps, it's really a race to which duo can kill the turret first. And Nunu Caitlyn killing the turret first, despite Nunu not being able to attack the turret, is a huge win for Curse in that situation.
We do see Alex Edge picking up the blue buff again. He's just going back down towards that mid lane. And now it's going to be Alex versus Rook. So it's going to be Olaf versus Rise. They're both at around level 6 and 7. How do you stack those two?
Alex is going to run straight for Rux as soon as he has an opportunity, and he won't be able to defend himself. He's got a Tear of the Goddess, no defensive items. Alex should be able to pretty much free farm this one out. That's a bad matchup for Rux. He's really far behind right now on Rise, and putting him into a long lane like that doesn't really help.
Well, he managed to just ward out that bush there, which Diamond Prox will have seen him do. So instead, he's going to try and ninja his way in towards this bottom lane. In terms of gank-wise, you got to think this one should be a success.
If they can get exposure onto Rux, they may even try to tower dive. They might not feel safe going in, knowing that St. Vicious' Nocturne is level 6 and potentially could be anywhere. But if Rux pokes his head out even the slightest, they're going to be going straight onto him.
You do see them actually just going to push the turret by the looks of it. Of course, Gambit lost that bottom turret already. Mid turret, meanwhile, under pressure as well. Let's get back up towards there. You can see Stan not really done a great deal of damage to it yet, but they have a great big wave with the siege minion here, and Edward's only the only one defending it. We are going to get Genja coming back. He hasn't got bullet time, so they're just going to keep on shoving this one. Let's have a look towards the top. How's it going between these two? Darian and Voyboy. Voyboy still at full level ahead.
Yeah, he's kept that small advantage pretty steady throughout it. So he had, I think, 30 to 20 at the start of the game as Nocturnaut goes off bottom.
Straight down the bottom now. Rooks did get taken out. Now St. Vicious in trouble. They should be able to dive this one, but they didn't manage to trade the aggro of the turret well enough, and Diamond kept that aggro, and he is forced to back away. Of course, they were a tower deep. Elements comes around here. Now he might get caught out. He's going to go towards Alex H. Puts the absolute zero down. May have a damage on towards Alex H. One more hit from St. Vicious, but the Lulu ultimate comes in just at a time for Edward there. Now Diamond taking a couple of tower hits, and they are just all forced backwards. Edward going aggressive, but the rest of the team are not there to really help him out, and they don't have the mana or the health to deal with this.
Going back all the way to the start of that one, that was just Rux sticking around a little bit too long, and he got comboed.
Voyboy going for it. Voyboy diving in towards Edward there. There is no turret, of course. He should be able to take Edward down. It was Alex Ditch was the ultimate target, puts the shield on himself. Edward continues on. The axe does hit Voyboy, and he just turns and says, sacrifice myself so Alex can get away.
Good chase down by Voyboy, and despite being down the 2 kills to 1, the turret is what's keeping them in the game. Voyboy's really the man who needs to get going for them. He went Sunfire Cape last game against Heavy Physical with MIM. Didn't work out, but I don't think that was because it was a bad build for him. It was just the fact that Curse was way too far behind. If Voyboy, seeing as he was in the 1v1 lane against Darian and did fairly well, if he can get going on Katarina this game, that's really what they're going to need.
And how do you fare with the ADs at the moment? We're generally seeing, look at that. There you go, straight Bloodthirster for Cop. Still no boots.
We were seeing this just, I mean, in the OGN a little while ago, straight Bloodthirster from a couple, both of them, especially since he has Nunu move speed. That's huge power spike right now for Curse. Really, no amount of harass is going to be able to take them out of lane at this point because Nunu Bloodthirster. Alex
putting pressure down on Voyboy and vice versa. We do see a couple of people in towards the mid lane. They are catching on towards St. Vicious. They've caught him out of position. Genja's going to come around the side. He has got bullet time available. Doesn't bother using it. Really just forces them back though, because Voyboy was heading up the river. Immediate pings go down. And as it is, Diamond Prox not really able to create too much of a great deal. But Zed, late game, puts a lot of damage out.
And it's going to be about him assassinating Cop. So Cop's going to have to be able to make some defensive items work in his build. Otherwise, he's essentially just writing himself off. We've seen Olaf's lately just terrorize entire backlines. When you add to that Wukong and Zed are going to be able to go in all together, you really have to make sure you can survive on Cop's cable.
Nice blast poke on Edward, keeping him at bay, keeping him away from Cop and Element.
Darian's roaming down mid. He didn't get seen by wards either.
Here he comes, he manages to stealth his way in there onto Cop, pops the ultimate, the cleanse is going to go off, but Lulu ultimate immediately followed it up and just gets destroyed. They should be able to dive on towards Elements as well. They're going to finish him off, it's a double there. It's actually Edward that picks up the kill, less than ideal, but now they're going to turn straight to Dragon.
Just lack of ward coverage, and all of this is snowballing off of Rux's inability to do anything. He got shut down mid lane 2v1. Everything else is off of that. He was so pushed back in the top lane that Darian was able to roam down. They get the Dragon free and take a bit of a lead.
Voyboy sat laying in wait, see if he can get anyone up here. He's going to try and catch someone teleporting back. It's Darian, he's going to head towards immediate paranoia, comes in from St. Vicious. The fear though flashed straight out of it. And now Genji's going to be the target. Voyboy should be able to finish this enough. Flashes out of the ultimate. Voyboy's going to try and follow on through. Does pick up one. Can he get on towards Darian now? Isn't going to dive enough. He has got Edward around the side there. They might try and turn this against him. The rest of the team are with a no, and he's just going to back away.
Good chase there by Curse. St. Vicious popping the ultimate. Voyboy able to clean up. The person to get that kill was the right one. Voyboy 2-0. Really going to have to take off at some point because everything else seems to be failing a bit for them.
They've got pressure on towards the bottom inner turret and the middle outer turrets. So they're keeping it on here, St. Vicious, with that siege minion line. Mid turret, they haven't really done a great deal of damage since they've changed lanes.
Yeah, and I should correct myself. Cop and Elements are actually doing quite well on Nunu and Caitlyn. They just haven't pulled themselves any kills yet. They're really trying to get this turret back. If
oh,
they can get a turret lead.
caught.
Oh my god!
Just absolutely obliterated there. Rooks killed him nicely and Cop picks up the kill. And now you can see that turret just getting chunked straight down. I think it's going to be too long in this world. Cop's going to get in. One more shot. There it is, enough to take him down. They're going to go towards Genji now. Genji turns the target. That's going to be a flash prison straight away. They are just going to destroy him where he stands. Genji, I'm not too sure why he didn't go towards his own turret.
Got caught out, and I got to hand it to Rux there, making himself useful because O2 Rise with just a tier, couldn't do much, did not hesitate to burn his flash, get the kill on Misfortune, which is allowing them to go onto this turret. But again, they have to be careful. Darian waiting in the wings.
Alex is now coming up towards the turret. The rest of Curse here, they're going to approach from both sides. It's a pincer effect. They're going straight for Rux. Rux gets destroyed. The ultimate goes on. Voyboy's going to get caught out by that one. Element seems to be the target now. Alex Inch onto him. Does manage to get the pop. The Lulu ultimate bounces him in the air. Voyboy now the target. They pick up 2 exit frags there effectively for Gambit Gaming.
Stuck around too long, and the flank from Gambit was awesome. Darian and Alex came in from opposite directions and just obliterated Rux pretty much immediately. From there, Curse couldn't quite fall back in time, and Elements ended up having to give up his life.
So St. Vicious picks up the red. Voyboy heads back up towards the top. Has got himself that Sunfire Cape complete. Let's just spin us through the items, Jack.
So the double Bloodthirster is the big thing for Gambit Gaming here. We saw the glass cannon Wukong last game that was able to get kept alive by Kale ultimate. This time it's going to be Lulu ultimate that tries to keep Darian alive. Getting the Bloodthirster early really increases his damage. All the big item thresholds have just been reached by Gambit Gaming. Pretty much everyone's got the item they need. For Zed, that's the Brutalizer. When he gets that, he becomes useful. Warmogs on Olaf, double Bloodthirster on the 2 champions on their team with the biggest AD ratios, Wukong and Misfortune. They're really in a sweet spot right now. You look over at Curse, sure, Voyboy has the Sunfire Cape, but he hasn't got magic penetration yet. Cobb has a Bloodthirster, but he's not quite at his zeal, so he's still ahead of Misfortune, but it's probably not going to be quite enough. They're not quite where they need to be yet, so if a fight happens, Gambit's going to have a huge edge.
Alex in that bottom lane, farming out. Let's look at the CS between them, and you can see really there's a huge disparity there. Alex H 108 to Rux's 60. Effectively, they are the same lane, but despite the fact they've not really been in lane against with one another, so Alex is a long way ahead. Both AD carriers actually 128, 126, pretty much even between those two, and of course the same top laners as well. Darian and Voyboy 122, 128. The jungle is very much even, so really the big difference in terms of gold is very much stacked on Alex Hitch. You can see the gold difference. They're straight towards St. Vicious here. Diamond getting aggressive on him. It's going to force St. Vicious away from here. What are they pinging towards? You can see Voyboy is coming down. They're going to try and put the pressure on this turret. This turret will be gone, but Voyboy is going to come straight in. Question is, will it be close enough? There's going to be the paranoia on towards Diamond. Diamond's the target, but St. Vicious is taking a lot of damage. Here comes Voyboy. Voyboy should be able to get the damage down. He's going to try and chase on towards it. Edward has to use the ultimate on himself. The wild growth, he flashes away. Now which target they're going towards? St. Vicious getting taken down very low. Alex is in trouble here. He's been separated. Meanwhile, at the top here, you can see Voyboy. Voyboy collapsing on towards 2 of them. Pops his ultimate. Rooks has taken taking out Alex. Now should be Diamond Prox going down. Voivo, one more hit. There it is. Takes him straight down, picks up the double kill. 3 for 0. Great exchange for Curse.
Amazing job there by St. Vicious. We thought that in a 5v5 team fight, the Gambit was going to take them, but Curse just got the jump in that 3v3. Amidst all that, they're taking the top turret as well.
Yeah, Curse really turning the advantages on here, and that's pulled the gold back level. 24.8, 24.8, 7-6 in kills. Just 18 minutes nearly coming up into this game. Jack, taking it into late game, who do you give this one to in terms of team comps?
It's really, really tricky to tell because there's so much assassination and just straight up damage potential coming out from Gambit, but they don't have diversified damage whatsoever. So if Curse can manage to stack enough armor, it's going to be really difficult for Gambit to take it in. Even with Black Cleavers and Last Whispers, you still can't get through all of it if all they have to do is build armor and health against you. The big thing's going to be how big do Cobb and Voiboy get, because that's where all their damage comes from. Cobb really has to be able to stay alive, which is so difficult against the multi-dive that Gambit can come off in. I'm not really ready to call it yet until I see who gets the big-time farm.
Who does get the big-time farm? We're seeing 2 double boots of mobility now for Gambit, so they're looking to try and get some of those maneuverable ganks. We do see the pink wards coming out, the wards on towards the blue buff as well. They're going to be well aware. Are they going to go try steal? Yes, they are. Voiboy comes in, tries to go for the steal. Didn't see whether he got it or not. He's got the red buff on him though, and this is going to be a pressure back and forward. Voiboy, of course, Chumpo was just used a moment ago, but it's going to be back up. Oh, Rook's taking the damage up towards Dari, and the ace in the hole comes across as well, but the Lulu ultimate puts a wall, goes straight down. That's going to be bullet time hitting across the entire team. Surely Gambit should come out on top of this one. St. Vicious is still very strong though. Picks up one. It's a double kill though for Darian. Darian meanwhile turning on towards Cobb. Cobb's got to try and escape this one. Alex H taken very low and nobody really strong enough to try and chase it. Instead they're going to pick up the blue buff, but very close exchange, chat.
That was a cluster of a fight that Curse really got caught into. They thought they'd be able to get the pick off onto, I think it was Darian they were chasing, and it just got completely ripped around on them. The timing could not be worse either because the dragon spawn is up and they're going to lose that as well. So that was just, I mean, we even lost vision of the action almost midway. We weren't sure where all the damage came from, but it was mainly giant spinning Wukong with bullet time, and from there everyone on Curse was too low to fight.
So Genja's going to back off. You see the gold they're stacking up. He's got 1,400 gold on Gosu Pepper, so what's he going to go back and buy? Of course, he's going to get that Ruby Sightstone. And of course, the Dragon Ball, Kindle Gem, along with an Oracle's picked up 19.5 minutes. So we'll see what Edward does with that one. As it stands across the board, in terms of gold, you can see top lane, 600 gold difference between the two. The mid lane really is where the big difference is though. 4,800 to 6,200, huge gap there. But Cop with a 400 gold advantage of his own. So that's the saving grace for Curse currently.
And you got to keep in mind that he's getting the gold value of Blood Boil as well. As Curse tries to collapse mid, maybe they can get Diamond.
They might try and catch on towards Diamond. It's going to be the paranoia on towards him. Has to use his ultimate himself. Dodges out of it, tries to be as mobile as he can, but you can't escape 4 members of Curse. And it's actually Elements that picks up the kill with the Ice Blast.
Well, now with that, they're going to be pushing up mid. Really no escape Diamond had from that. He got completely caught out, and then he was completely bailed on. So Curse going to try to continue their turret lead here. They can get the 4th turret. That's going to be a huge hit to Gambit's map control. And they're probably just going to power this one down. Ruck's tanking.
And there it is. It's going to be the turret down. 4-2 in terms of turrets, and they immediately back away from the aggression. Don't want to get caught out. And they have really good ward placement actually throughout the enemy jungle, but Gambit can see them. They know they're going towards red, and I'm not too sure they're ready to give this one up at the moment. Darian wants a piece of this one. Genja's going to come around. Alex is there as well. The red buff is going to get picked up, though. And Darian was a little bit too late and ends up standing on the trap. So everyone backs 2 lanes, and Curse continue to try and pressure a little bit of advantage, but they are still behind in gold, of course, because that dragon was picked up by Gambit.
And the team fight they lost in Gambit's jungle is not gone from their memory. They realize how badly they got caught out. They know they have to get more health and more armor before they're ready to team fight next.
So Curse do back into their own jungle. We do see this top lane now being pushed by Alex. He's going to try and take advantage of this one. And to be fair, he should be able to get it. Curse have all backed away. Whether they're going to be aware of it, they do have Diamond coming up there as well. They've got 3/4 of the health. Honestly, they could just push this one through. Do they know the placement of the team? I think they're guessing that Curse have gone back.
They're just going to power through this one. Good map control, good map, not control, but awareness by Gambit being able to take this one. And I really want to watch to see how Rux carries himself through the rest of this game, because he's in such a difficult situation right now. Filling in for Nijak, he's thrown into a very hostile environment up against Gambit Gaming with pretty much the whole trip on the line in the second game of the day for them. He's started 0-3 as well, really having to step it up.
Yeah, it's a trip that's been pretty exasperating for Curse. It's been a long flight for them, of course. Just had the pressure of the Season 3 qualifiers that they did make it through, so they're into the North American League competition as it stands. So Gambit are definitely stacking themselves up here. They look like they want to go aggressive here. They're being the bullies of the game at the moment. It seems that they've judged that Curse don't want to fight.
There's been a lot of bullying going back and forth, in all honesty. Just the fact that 7 turrets are down at 22 minutes, 4-3 on each team, means both of them have been pushing very aggressively this entire time. And most of the kills have really just come from a team overextending. So they might actually end up backing off a little bit from all this straight-up aggression they've had recently.
They do. They return to farming. And as it stands between the two, gold stacking up. Alex has got himself 1,400, 1,300 as well on Darian. So let's see if they do get back and buy. Home guard boots, of course, coming out for Darian. So he's going to be pretty speedy if and when the action happens. Got himself a Giant's Belt as his standard place. There's home guard boots for Alex as well. So get himself set up for quick defensive duties should it be required. And everybody seems to be doing just that. Diamond now goes back, gets himself, let me guess, home guard boots?
Yeah, I think
Giant's
you're right.
Belt? Oh, I didn't get the home guard boots. Giant's Belt's just as good.
So the Warmogs and the Giant's Belt items really coming in huge. I'm surprised that Genja has not went for a Black Cleaver. They picked Misfortune in that first game against Azubu as well. Obviously that game was over much sooner, but he decided to go against the Black Cleaver build in that situation as well. It would really benefit them if he picks that up as his next item, so they're able to shred through the majority of Curse's armor.
Well, Alex shows himself down that bottom lane, and it looks like Curse are going to try and take that chance to try and clean out the Baron pit. You can see that Elements is in there with that Oracle, starting to hoover out as many wards as he can. Diamond's got to be careful. We've seen so many ganks in that bush just over the last weekend. People just straight face checking it. Elements is going to clear out another ward, and Voibo's going to place them out. They want to try and start beating around this Baron.
Yeah, so both teams trying to clear as much as possible. The big thing here is, though, Edward's Oracles is up in about 30 seconds, so Curse is once again going to have full map control. They got pushed out a little bit there because Alex was stuck taking blue buff and lost control of the area. If they don't get in there and clear out these wards pretty much immediately, they won't have a chance to.
And there we go. Edward goes straight in there. Only got a couple of seconds left on that. As you mentioned, wants to use it as quick as possible. Finds another one. The Oracle has run out just in time, and he does clear out all of the wards. Perfectly done by them. Let's have a look down towards the bottom. Trap being picked and triggered. Voiboy. Both teams are in an interesting spot here, almost poised that they're going to have to fight. Gambit realize it. They're going to try and pressure. Could they get caught between the turrets?
They're trying to get in. This is a very interesting situation, but Curse looks like they're going to be able to fall back. All it's going to take is Darian to decide to go in, and the fight will happen. Once Alex ghosts and Edward Lulu ults the Wukong, there is almost no escaping for Curse.
Well, we saw it a moment ago with MYM, of course, going very aggressive. Alex Itch going around the back side of Curse here. Got to be careful, then that's Darian almost going in, trying to bait into a fight there. Just off at the side, didn't manage to call anything in there, and Curse instead chooses to mop out and clear up all the wards again. It's a ward farming session between the two. 25 minutes gone. Just 1,000 gold between them, a turret between them. That is really a difference in the gold, and the Dragon has spawned. The question is, are Curse going to try and take this advantage and kill the invisible Dragon that keeps popping in and out and go for Baron?
It's a ward swapping battle, but only one team has an Oracles at this point, so Gambit's got to be very careful. For all they know, Curse could be going for this right now. Darian's trying to be very careful. He might get caught right here.
He goes straight and face checks it in, pops the ultimate off in time though. He has been dropped very quickly, and that could force possibly the Baron. They did take up the Dragon though, gives them that slight gold advantage.
Almost want to start calling that the brush of death, because that's where everyone decides to camp and wait. Again, they're trying to go in, and here comes another!
What are you doing, Diamond? He just goes straight back in, face checks it. He does get out with a Lulu ultimate. Paranoid turns that straight back around. They go back in, acing the hold on towards Edward. Pops him down very low as well, and Genja's going to try and run away from this one. St. Vicious, the damage on towards Genja. He gets dropped by Rux. Alex Itch tries to go aggressive, but he is 1v4, and you just can't turn that around. St. Vicious survives, and that was a 4-for-1 exchange, and you just got to wonder, why did they check straight back into that bush?
It was really an odd decision because they decided to go for a dragon when they knew Curse was posturing around Baron. And then Darian checked once he was down. Instead of trying to run around the back and place wards, I think they were actually out of wards because Edward's Sightstone had probably ran out of charges. So everyone kind of decided to check 1v1. They didn't know who to go in with, and it was just one after another. Pretty big errors by Gambit Gaming. And even after all that, though, they'd still have a gold lead, which is a little funny.
Well, that gold lead is what's keeping them in it. Curse seem to be the more tactically astute at the moment. Gambit Gaming just getting caught out of position. These face checks, they could turn around to bite them. We've seen it in plenty of games in the past. The question is, can Curse turn this into their advantage? Voivod got took out. It was the only death in that game, that fight. But you can see he's got that Riders completed. And well, Darian, he's a very deep, all on his own again. The rest of the team's starting to react. Alex Hitch is a long way off, though. And immediately, the Oracle from Elements, they're going to start sweeping again.
Well, now we actually have the reverse of what just happened because Elements' Oracle has about 30 seconds left, whereas Edward picked up a completely fresh one.
Mid lane.
So unless they decide to fight almost immediately, we're going to see it flip where Gambit's going to be the ones allowed to wait in the brush.
Ace in the hole use there, caught on towards Alex Hitch. Happy to block it. We did see Edward being cunning with the Glitter Lantern, firing it into the Baron. So the Baron got a good 2 hits on towards Elements, which is why he's down around about half health at the moment. But they are continuing to sweep out those wards.
And Gambit still on their heels. They're only down 1 turret. They're up in gold, down in kills. But because Genja went over to bottom lane to clear out the wave, Curse going into the Baron pit. With the last breath of Elements' Oracles, you saw there were no wards inside Baron, but they still decide to fall back.
They do fall back, and immediately Edward puts that ward in towards the Baron pit, gets the vision in, and the rest of Curse do back off. Voivod very much solo at the moment, but he's going to back away. Are Gambit going to try and take this small advantage, realizing that Curse may be backing away? Can they shove on towards the turret? No. They're just going to have this little duel and dance in between the middle.
And this could actually continue for a little while. Gambit really should look to force, though. You can see them now throwing down all the wards, trying to pop all the Caitlyn traps, and just a harassment ult coming down from Cop. That's what you see a lot of Caitlyn's do roundabouts this spot. St. Vicious waiting in the brush. There goes Darian.
Goes straight in towards it. St. Vicious does get caught out. You can see Darian not really catching him towards any. Diamond Procs taking out very low. Diamond Procs got popped there, but Darian with the ultimate gets exhausted straight away. The bullet time is going to hit across. He manages to take down St. Vicious, but Rooks picks up another one. That's going to be Voivod. Going to get dropped. No, Alex Hitch is going to turn on one, gets another, but it's a double kill for Rooks. And now Edward, the last one standing, he's going to run away, but Rooks should be able to catch the prison on him. That will be Edward going down. That's a triple kill, and that is the ace for Curse.
No one got on to Cop during that entire fight. Diamond Procs, who's supposed to be the assassin on Zed, couldn't get through. Darian ulted without getting there. The bullet time didn't even reach him. Cop is the biggest threat in the new Caitlyn comp position, and they're just rushing down this middle inhibitor turret, and Rux picking up the triple kill off the end gets him completely back in the game after a horrendous start.
It just seems to me that Diamond couldn't get in the position. Everybody was kind of trying to dive for Cop, but they all just got caught out. And very nicely by Rux with that prison. And one by one, they kind of went in instead of a straight-up 5v5 fight, which is really what they need for bullet time to be fully effective. As it stands, though, everybody backs off. Everybody goes back to buy. 1,800 gold for Cop. That's going to buy himself a nice, fat last Whisper.
And he's doing the smart thing of building a lot of armor right now. He knows he's going to be the assassin target for everybody on Gambit. He's making sure that that's not going to be an easy thing for Gambit Gaming to do.
More importantly, Voivod's getting stronger and tankier every time these fights come out. He's picking up a chunk of assists. Rux, of course, now is incredibly strong. Really, Cop is the only soft target.
And he's not even that soft at this point. When you consider that Elements is going to be sitting beside him, channeling Absolute Zero, which reduces attack speed, by the way. It doesn't seem like it would, but it actually does. And he's got the Locket of the Iron Solari, which is going to throw up that extra, what it is now, 180 damage shield onto Cop. They got a fair amount of protection to stop the dive from getting onto Cop.
So Curse position themselves, get the wards out, clear the wards in. They may try and turn this straight into a dive on towards them. Alex Inch is going to go diving in, though. He's going for St. Vicious. That seems to be the softest target. Instead, Cop again, way up at the back there. Alex Inch gets the wild growth put on him. Bullet time goes off. Still didn't quite catch on towards them. Elements will get dropped, but immediately Absolute Zero replies. Brooks manages to take down one. Genja's being popped at the back here. St. Vicious all over him. It's Voibo that picks it up. It's another cleanup crew for Curse Gaming, and they are just going to wipe the floor. And again, Cop, full hit points off the back, completely untouched. Voibo with the double kill. That's the ace, and it could be the game for Curse.
5 for 1, and they're not even looking for Baron. They realize the death timer's on Gambit. They know the inhibitor is down. The super minion is close in pursuit. They're going to go for this one, D-Man.
This could be Gambit Gaming going out of the tournament. They've already lost to a Zubu Blaze earlier on today. 24-14 currently to Curse. Tanking it up here. The minions come in. They're going to get one Nexus turret. Can they get the second? They should be able to.
Yeah.
There's 10 seconds still on the timers. They may turn this straight towards the Nexus. Curse Gaming are going to knock Gambit Gaming out of the tournament. A beautiful comeback from what looked like Gambit's game.
And that really all just happened with the Oracle dance at the Baron pit. From there, they just won team fight after team fight. Their theory crafting and their builds were proper. They got armor on the right targets. They stacked enough health, and they really just took down Gambit, who has to be reeling after that one.
Well, you've just got to wonder what's going through Gambit's head. They've come into this one as pre-Moscow 5. They finished 4th place. Was it joint 3rd, 4th? It was 4th place.
I think so, yeah.
At IPL 5. Great result in a big tournament, but really they have been obviously relaxing a little bit too much over the Christmas period.
I hope that they haven't been practicing that much. Otherwise, they would really be going at each other. Like, coming in and 0-2ing, sure, they played against 2 really good teams in Azubu Blaze and Curse NA, who's, even with Rux, showed them they can beat Gambit. If they're coming into this 100%, that would raise a lot of eyebrows.
And it certainly will raise a lot of eyebrows. It's going to raise the confidence level for Curse. Of course, they're going to be playing against the Zubu Blaze shortly, and that's got to give them the confidence. They've got to go into that game and they've got to win, because they've already had that loss to Meet Your Makers. Fantastic performance, though, but Gambit Gaming, the first tournament under their name, they are not going to get out the group stage.
Yeah, there's still a chance.
There is a chance. There could be a 1-2 period across the entire team, yeah, with a tiebreaker, but I'm not convinced on this one.
Especially since that was a 32-minute loss, it would be pretty tricky for them. That's really tough for them.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So we're going to go over to our expert desk and see what they thought of the game.
Welcome back to the experts desk, and guys, I don't think I'd actually be saying this, that Gambit Gaming 0-2 in group stage. I don't think I would ever say that.
Yeah, it's a big surprise. I think nobody expected it.
Yeah, that was really well played by Curse. I mean, they did an amazing job. We have a couple of replays hopefully we can actually do this time. But before we get to that, I mean, Panky, what was your take on that game?
There was a couple of shaky moments from Curse at the start, one of which we're going to show up as soon as these replays come on screen. But ultimately, we mentioned in the champ selects, in the load screen, D-Man and Jade themselves, Gambit, they're known for their team fights. They're known for being really strong in those positions. And it didn't happen. They time and time again, they took a fight, Cop was at the back, Cop took no damage. Did all the damage he wanted. That's not how a team fight should go. And it's okay in the late game, yes, once everyone's really tanky, starting to get full build, getting to that AD carry is not always possible. You've just got to protect your own one and let him do all the work. But at the stages these fights were going on, you should be able to jump onto that carry and take him out. It was not happening. Alex just couldn't get through there, even on Olaf, which we were surprised to see him not be in the mid lane, but he did switch it up a little bit.
And the thing is, Gambit was all forced around getting to that AD carry in the back. I mean, they had the Zed, they had the Olaf, they had that Wukong to get in there with the Lulu ultimate to knock him up, but just like you're saying, they just couldn't get back into that back line and kill the people they really needed to get. You said Cop escaped multiple times with sub 100 health, and that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, and as the game went on, it was just escaping with more health every fight. It was just doing the damage quicker, didn't take anywhere near as much damage, and just came out healthier and healthier. And towards those last 2 fights, I don't think he took a point of damage at all. And ultimately, 3 fights in a row where that happened, it's too much for Gambit Gaming.
Yeah, we were talking about during the game, actually, Sis Wayne, is that the lane switch didn't really work out for Curse in the beginning. But later on, obviously, Rux did finally catch up a little bit in terms of kills and assists. Can you kind of walk us through that, like why it really went in Gambit Gaming's favor?
Gambit took the level 1 engage, a small one, where nobody died, but they got 3 flashes from Curse, so they could give blue buff to Olaf, which is the main idea behind the lane swap and picking Olaf at all. So they had a decent start in it, and the suppression of Rise also worked perfectly. The only thing that kind of destroyed their mid-game was how weak Zed was and how strong Katarina got, especially because she got a double kill on bot lane at some point. And after this, Curse was back in the game.
And that's the weird thing, if you want to comment on this, Pank, is when we see Olaf lane switch, we see him bot lane with a blue buff. That's exactly what we saw this game. But he kind of got chased out. He was the first one to lose his tower, but he had the blue buff to arm with Undertow. I mean, that was just kind of, you don't see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's there for. He can throw those axes out over and over again. The cooldown reduction and the mana regen means he can keep spamming those to get CS. But it was against Nunu Caitlyn. That is arguably one of the strongest bottom lanes in the game right now. For the fact that she has such huge range in these early games, for the fact that they get massive movement speed, there's a good attack speed slow coming out from Nunu. And they can keep harassing her left down even when he's under the tower. So he can't throw as many X's as he wants to without coming in and taking a lot of damage in the process. So as a result, Curse got through that bottom tower early on. And as Jab mentioned, the team that lane swapped, the first team to kill a turret is going to be in the better position. Curse got that, and then they switched their AD carry lane towards mid and started doing the whole process again.
And not to mention, St. Vicious actually came down in that bot lane once. He was sitting in that bush, trying to go for that good gank onto Alex Ich, but the fear kind of tethered him into the turret, so he saved his life there. And we actually had a replay, but we got a bug spot, so unfortunately we can't really do that. But Pinky, can you guys set us up with what the first replay we're going to talk about was?
The first replay was actually a slight miscommunication from Curse. We had St. Vicious down under the bottom turret, just trying to hold the lane for a little while, where Alex Ich was down there, obviously shoving into the turret, and Diamond hiding in a bush. Alex initiated in, he went straight in, I think it was actually onto Rux at this point. Went in onto Rux, started chasing him out the lane, taking him very, very low. They did finally kill Rux off, but took a lot of damage in the process. As they tried to run back out again, Elements is coming across from the mid lane, pinging down onto the Gambit Gaming pair, wanting to go for this kill. St. Vicious hung around for a little bit too long, didn't seem quite so convinced that they could actually take this fight. Followed along a little way behind, Elements showed up. Alex Ich tried taking a lot of turret damage, took the slow, took an ultimate damage from Nunu, and actually ended up being very, very low on health. If St. Vicious had followed him down from Elements' first pings, they might have had the damage to finish Alex off. As it was, he waited too long, and Lulu met them in the tri-bush and saved Alex's life. Gambit Gaming coming out on top. So there's a little bit of a can't we going on between Curse. Didn't quite all work from the same playbook, so to speak, but ultimately they got their problems sorted out, and later in the game, all on the same level, really worked.
Yeah, to me, that was kind of the story of Curse. In the first game, they just didn't really seem to be all there. They didn't have the communication down. They weren't, going in as a team. But in that second game, like once that point hit, after that, it just seems like they got their act together and they were unstoppable. I mean, the next replay we're going to talk about was well, I'll let you go ahead and set it up, and then you can talk about it, Citizen Win.
It was the triple cooldown in the bottom lane. Curse all came down there. We had Gambit again making the aggression, starting to try and push onto this turret, starting to take some kills off as they did it. Curse came down, brought Katarina down, and the Katarina, she did what she did best. She just cleaned up. They chased them all the way back up towards Gambit's own tier 2 turret, picking up kills as they went. You could see now that we've got skulls going up on the minimap where all the corpses are, just a trail of them slowly up this lane as she picked up kill after kill.
Yeah, how that kind of affect Gambit right there, because it was pretty much all downhill from there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the point is they actually had a big advantage after Ryze was on so low creep kills. But Katarina got very strong, which kind of ruined their fights afterwards, and Zed was very weak, so they had big problems snowballing it down. What we saw from Meteor Makers in Perfection, just like deep warding in the enemy jungle and going for objectives, they couldn't effectively do it anymore because Katarina was so dominant at this point. So yeah, the strategy kind of failed there. I guess I would have preferred to see some kind of tanky jungle, like maybe Cho'Gath or something similar.
And Jat was mentioning during that last game is that when Katarina in the top lane, Voyboy, he had had a Sunfire cape, but he didn't have the penetration yet. He didn't have the damage he needed to really clean up. But with that double kill at bottom, and with the kills he got later on, he ended up getting a Rylai's, ended up getting his haunting guys done, and from there ended up snowballing the rest of the game. Sure. And Panky, I believe there was one more replay we were going to talk about, but unfortunately we can't really show you. It was the Baron bait inside that one bush.
Yeah, obviously Curse clearing out of the wards. There's now timed oracles, making it a lot more valuable, only 5 minutes on each run. So they sit there, they cleared it all out, they brought Lulu in, her oracles could warn out. Gambit, as Demon again mentioned, Sightstones all used up, they had no wards. They went for the Dragon. They did leave Darien around there. They thought that Baron was possible, and Wukong's a good bet to leave. If they were on the Baron, he could dash in there, use his ultimate, doing a lot of damage, knocking them all up, because the debuffs from Baron would mean him doing more damage in the process. The rest of Gambit can come and join in and clean up at the end of it. Curse knew this. Curse weren't going to go in for this. They didn't risk this early Baron. They just hid in that bush. Darien face check into it. He had no other ways of doing it. Immediately snared up by Ryze and burst down. Did get his ult off for a couple of seconds. Knocked a couple of people up and delayed the inevitable, really. He still died. Gambit still weren't quite ready. And then they did the same thing again and face checked once more.
Yeah, and I actually want to ask you about that. I mean, Diamond Prox, he knew Darien just died. He knew they were in there previously. He checked. They were out of wards at the time, Jat was saying. Was that a move you have to make? Do you have to check that bush just to make sure they don't get Baron?
It's kind of a team decision. I'm not entirely sure if he couldn't have checked the brush with like a shuriken or something. Like just walking straight in.
I don't believe it makes a sound, if I remember correctly. But he could have sent in a clone, obviously, and then that would have been sight.
I don't know, there could have been some way to scout it, I guess, but effectively somebody has to take a risk to check it. And if it's someone, it has to be Zed because he has the best escape mechanisms. He kind of got like back to the very end of the team as well.
Yeah, he ulted one of the members' curse that was really below him and then flashed out kind of thing.
Yeah. And still took too much damage, so it didn't work out.
And I want to say the key player, the MVP of that entire game, was the Oracle. I mean, he's not a player, but the Oracle was so crucial because of the vision we saw. I mean, Jat was talking about the entire time. We saw Curse with or they had the Oracle the longest at the time. We saw Edward actually his run out, but they had that control of Baron, they had control of the jungle, and then it ended up switching around into Gambit's favor, and that just shows you how important vision really is in the entire game.
There was a couple of points, or there was one point specifically where Gambit almost had it turn around. Curse went in to try and steal a blue buff. They were a little bit split. They were half round on the blue side, half round on the banana bush side, too closer towards the mid lane, didn't quite come in right. Gambit were group, they led the charge. They came out 4-for-2 ultimately at the end of that fight. And at that point, things started to level out a bit more, started to become a bit more even. But then the next fight straight away after, same problem again, they couldn't get on cock. Curse just cleaned them up again and just took it back from there. And as we meant, 2 more fights later, the game was over. So there's a couple of moments. Arguably that was more of a Curse screw up than it was Gambit actually being prepared and ready. But something not quite right about this Gambit team at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are down 0-2, but they're not out just yet. There is a possibility for a 3-way tie. And we actually have the next game coming up fairly shortly. I believe it is Blaze versus Meet Your Makers, if I'm not mistaken. And that promises to be a very exciting game. Both of them undefeated so far. How do you think this is really going to go? I mean, we'll go into a little bit more when we go to picks and bans, but I mean, Meet Your Makers very solid game #1 versus Curse. And we saw Zubu Blaze just dominated against Gambit Gaming. Both of them very one-sided matches. Do you think we're going to see like a really even, really good kind of match?
It's a really tough call. I mean, Meet Your Makers played perfect, and it's their home crowd, kind of.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see them do well, but as Zubu Blaze is a team everybody knows they play extremely solid and very well, and I've never seen them slack, really. So my call would be that it's very close. It's hard to predict the winner.
I mean, we saw Azubu Blaze. We know they like to run, we mentioned about the Korean teams over and over again, they like to run this Curse of the Sad Bullet type of comp. IEM have shown us they have a strategy that works against that. They gave that to Curse, and they used this one against it. If they do the same thing with Blaze, it's going to be putting that comp to the ultimate test, but it could be what it takes to topple these Azubu Titans, so to speak. So, could be in for a very interesting game from that. We could be seeing something completely different again. If Azubu will have watched that game, they will have seen that strategy, they might not feel confident enough running up against it. We still see some bans tailored to them. We might see Wukong or Zyra banned out, or they might go for a completely different strategy themselves and try something wholly new.
Yeah, one thing that kind of worries me is that Azubu Blaze has had a lot more experience with this kind of combo with Misfortune, you know, kind of AoE compositions. And I mean, that's going to be a tough time for Meet Your Makers, but we will be getting to that game fairly shortly. We do have another interview with the winner with Curse. Not sure who it is yet, but we'll see how it is.
I jesteśmy z powrotem. Jest ze mną Element z Curse Gaming. Oklaski! We are back, and with me here is Element, Cody Sigurdsson, right? It's correct? Cody Sigurdsson, Elements from Curse Gaming. Cody, the match seemed really even. At the beginning, Gambit Gaming, I'm trying to say Moscow 5, but I have to remember it's not Moscow 5 anymore, it's Gambit Gaming. They seemed like they had an advantage, then you turned it, and basically did it go exactly as you planned, or was it?
Yeah, I think we caught them out a few times actually. So we caught out the Wukong once with the Oracles. We caught out, I think it was Lulu, a couple times that enabled us to push mid and take all the little advantages that we needed. And from that we took Baron control and we forced them to make plays they didn't want to make. So they couldn't really push mid because it was either taken out our tower or lose Baron. So they had to face check, and then we kind of just pushed the advantage from there and took the game.
I think I won't translate that because that was a lot of talking, and I suppose that you guys understand it anyway. I know that you have one sub. Tell me what happened and why Jackie couldn't come.
I think Jackie had visa issues or passport issues, so he couldn't come. So we had to sub in Rux, and unfortunately, when we got back from our Season 3 qualifiers, we had 1 day to practice, so it kind of sucks, and kind of going in versus MYM, it kind of showed that we weren't really prepared as well as we should have been. But I think that was kind of like a shake the dust off kind of game, and we kind of got back into it versus them and show what we can do.
Another question is, well, basically recently, US as a scene kind of went down. It's not as vivid and as good as it used to be. You used to dominate, like really dominate League of Legends. What happened and why you are not dominating anymore?
I think it was just, I don't think the North American scene took it as seriously as we should have. And you see a lot of European and especially the Asian teams from Korea to Taipei Assassins, those kind of guys. They really buckled down as whole associations. They got coaches, they got managers, they had everything. They had like 20-man teams dedicated to making them better, and we kind of just had, like a manager, and we kind of like, dink around and not really, practice as hard as we should have been. And they put in the effort, they put in everything they needed to, so they excelled way faster than anybody else. So it really comes down to a practice game and who's gonna put in more effort, and they did, so ultimately that's why they're ahead.
Of course, you're voting for your team to win the whole competition, but who do you think that has a chance to like really shine on this tournament?
Well, I mean, I hope for MYM because they're a new team and home favorites, so hopefully they can.
Okay, so a round of applause for... Okay, and we are out.